So I'll look there.
Yes.
Okay.
So should computer-generated works be treated in the same way as human works so that computers don't become too competitive with humans?
There's an emergence of a new class of creative people, artists and musicians who are actively embracing this new technology to create new forms of art.
For some people, this next goal is making machines human level, like intelligence or conscious. And I believe that one day or the other, we will make that happen.
So one of the things we looked at in the very, very far future is the difference between a technology we consume and an entity that we collaborate with. This looks more like the development of a new species than a new technology.
We have always invented technology as humans to help humans. But AI is the first human-centric technology because we cannot really build AI without the consideration of humans. Every algorithm in AI has to consider the human element because it is a technology that helps humans, and also it's a technology that mimics human cognitive process.
Humans are really, really bad at predicting the future of technologies. And if you think back, electricity being put in homes, they said there would be mass fires, no one would be able to survive. You know, the car was going to be unnecessary, the telephone was never going to be useful. Almost every prediction humans have made about the future of a technology has never proven to be incorrect.
Research has been going on for quite a number of years, and recently we have discovered very powerful architecture of a neural network called transformer architecture, which is able to take advantage of both the powerful hardware platform and computing resources, as well as the enormous digital data we have on the internet as training data. So we have witnessed this emergence of generative AI models such as large language models and diffusion models that have abilities that are just beyond what we have ever imagined.
So right now the world is focused on artificial intelligence. Things like ChatGPT and Claude 2 and others are revolutionizing the way people do research and interact in their daily lives with their computational devices. So when you think about this and you put it in context of the future, you have to address some of the worries and fears people have around bias and losing control.
The theory is that electrification took about 70 years to make a real difference to business as a whole. I think the problem we face is that the impact of AI might be much faster. It's really a question of spinning up a new server and you have massive scale. So it's very hard for regulation to keep pace.
When we are trying to address the impact of emerging technology and AI in our society, it's very important for us to analyze that the level of global investment in AI or in emerging technology in general have increased from $350 billion in 2018 to over $3.5 trillion in 2025. That's the anticipation growth of the investments. That level of investment has shifted the way we perceive technology development or emerging technology development, because it did not just impact AI technologies, but it impacted the whole technology stack that are being developed on a global level.
Some countries have an approach where they say, stop. First, we must see what the dangers of these technologies are, and we don't allow you to operate. There are other nations where we say, okay, let's see what the technology can do. And they create an environment where the regulators are part of the story so that the privacy and safety of the citizens is ensured, but at the same time, the regulations are not roadblock. It's important that regulators are part of the story and they facilitate the transformation of society by the technology we develop in the labs.
I am aware, and I do believe that AI will replace a lot of current jobs. And just like any industrial revolution before, perhaps AI will replace more day-to-day jobs than other technology, but that's not even clear that it will do so. I think it will create more jobs in the process. Today, we cannot rely on AI completely for coding. So humans still need to code or still need to check the output of AI. But let's say one day it will replace programmers. Fine. But it will create jobs for those who know how to prompt it, right? It will create jobs for those who know how to use AI to do design. I can use AI to give me some more ideas, but I have to check it, right? I have to use my own knowledge and my own training to actually edit the outcome of AI. So it will help me, but it's never going to replace me.
I'm one of those who believes that technology can be an enabler of new art forms, of new creativity. So we have these new tools at our disposal, and I've got no doubt that new genres of creativity will emerge as a result. But that can't be at the expense of the livelihoods of creatives who depend upon their own human ingenuity to make a living. And so I'm very optimistic about those very clever technologists who are working very hard to protect the interests of artists.
Now, the issue with AI is large language models have been trained really on the entire internet, and modern image generation models have been trained on something in the order of 5 billion images scraped from the internet. So they're copying vast amounts of copyright works. So the question is whether a prompt is enough to give you copyright. Jason Allen's generative AI work is very significant, and I almost always refer to it when I'm talking about generative AI. Its significance is twofold. One, it illustrates that generative AI now creates outputs which people without knowledge that AI was used considered so good that it should win an award. And secondly, it's one of the primary test cases for the US Copyright Office, and an example, an extreme example, where they said there's no copyright in a work even when the artist has worked through 600 prompts to get the result that they wanted.
According to the United States Copyright Office, I didn't create this. Midjourney did. They don't provide any evidence or logical path to how they arrived at this conclusion, but I believe in my heart of hearts that I know for a fact that I created this work. If I were to look at artificial intelligence as a tool or a collaborator, I would definitely consider it as a tool. It's not making decisions on its own. It doesn't want anything. It is essentially a human creation powered by the human mind. We do not have a strong AI. It's not wanting to create art and get up one day and just say, hey, Jason, look, space opera theater, ta-da, what do you think? This didn't happen. I put a lot of work and effort and technique and skill into my creations, and I feel like I should be acknowledged for that. Just like anybody else, I should be afforded the same opportunities to protect my work as all other people.
Contemporary image generation technology, in this case Midjourney, has a relatively primitive understanding of language. So it's incredibly hard to express what you really want it to output. And so as a result, the level of artistic control is very questionable. Really, it's more a matter of luck whether you get out the thing you had in mind. And I'm not saying Jason Allen shouldn't have some sort of right. He just doesn't have rights under our current copyright law, and maybe it should change.
The challenges that we're facing aren't really legal, they're societal. There's a stigma that's been created surrounding artificial intelligence out of a lack of understanding and fear. And unfortunately, people fear what they don't understand. So I'm trying to help educate people to know what this technology is, and more importantly, what this technology is not.
So one thing is that AI is one of the first human-centric technology. As such, it impacts people's daily lives to a great extent. It disrupts almost every industry, and it will change the way we live and even the way we are in the years to come and decades to come. Because of this, we can no longer afford to be pure technologists. So ethics training is very important because what we do, what we choose to do in terms of research and development is as important, if not more important than how we do it. This is why I advocate for ethics training for technologists and people working in AI technology.
Today, the literacy is about whether people understand AI or not. And that is a big challenge that is facing society, is how to, of course, to create this awareness among the society, among the general public, to understand, the technology and also the associated risk of it, and how we develop this technology responsibly. So I think this is an important aspect that we try to promote, of course, the development of these technologies in a more ethical and responsible manner.
The theory goes that good people outweigh bad people, and so to minimize the bad use of AI, it's best to give it to absolutely everyone. And that was the original concept behind OpenAI, but it hasn't really stuck to that so far.
I think there's a real concern where you have a small number of companies who essentially control most of the technology. I think that AI technology already is unfathomable for many parts of society, and I worry about that becoming further entrenched and people feeling as though they're not part of the future. And I'm also worried about the technologies that we're devising further entrenching inequalities that already exist within the world.
I think we're already starting. Actually, we never stop developing AI beyond predictive models. These models are so powerful, but we don't really understand why. When I say understanding, I mean theoretical understanding of the boundaries of their capabilities and how these capabilities emerged from this large neural network. We don't understand them. And we also don't understand how human brains, how humans have our cognitive abilities. So I hope to see a symbiotic development of the neuroscience field studying human brains and the study of these neural networks, artificial neural networks, together to help us learn about both the capabilities of artificial neural networks and the human neural networks. Maybe we can learn from each other.
Artificial general intelligence is a highly debated topic, and of course, so it means human-level intelligence or artificial intelligence that has consciousness to some extent. There are many definitions of consciousness. How can we go towards artificial general intelligence or conscious machines or machines that are self-aware? First of all, you need a body. I don't think that computers alone without a body can eventually reach human-level intelligence that we can relate to. And I think about the HAL computer in the science fiction movie, for example, clearly didn't have a body, couldn't understand what it means to be a human. The second thing is that the brain of humans and also some mammals have a lot of feedback loops where the information goes back and forth that today's artificial intelligence does not have. As soon as you introduce these feedback loops, the system becomes super complex. It's difficult to predict what will happen in the future. So give it a body, give it more complexity in terms of feedback loops, and maybe we will make one step further towards artificial general intelligence.
We're all based on classical information and classical systems in the way that we're building AI. Well, nature is quantum mechanical, and if nature is quantum mechanical, then your brain is quantum mechanical. Therefore, if we want to build a duplicate of a human brain, we need a quantum substrate. So quantum computing and AI aren't separate technologies. They're symbiotic. They're interlinked in that you can't have a true AI without quantum computing as its underlying core. So to understand how quantum computing works, imagine I have a coin and I place it in my palm face up. Heads up, it's a 1, tails up, it's a 0. This is how all classical computers work. On that two-dimensional plane can only be one of those binary outcomes. Now, let's take the same coin and flip it in the air like a coin toss. At the apex of that spin, is it a 1 or is it a 0? It's in a quantum superposition of every probability across every universe of those two outcomes. And only when we stop it like a coin toss and measure it, do we get a resulting 1 or 0. Eventually, humanity will move beyond Earth and become a multiplanetary species, and quantum computing will play a very vital role in this, both in the material science and the things that we use to travel, to calculating our routes to other planets, to establishing intelligences as robotic forms that can terraform planets and prepare them for our arrival.
So humans, in my opinion, are always going to be part of the story. Either they are part of the story as operators, meaning that they give high-level instruction to these machines, or they become closer to the robot. They become, for example, they impersonate the robot. The human in the future maybe can transform itself into the robot, take a different body, for example, a different morphology, and operate in conditions where today humans cannot possibly go. It can be on this planet, or it could be maybe in the future in another planet.
With the advancement of AI and the combination of quantum computing and AI, it will eventually lead to a superintelligence, something that will create solutions for us, potentially the last thing we would ever invent, because after that, it would invent everything else. Completely new theories in physics, new drug discovery, solutions for the environment. And when you think about the future and a superintelligence that is effectively a new species, you have to think what makes a difference between it being collaborative or competitive. And I think that's in the way we interact with it in our laws and regulations, in the way we develop the technologies, in our views on ethics and responsibility around their development, and developing them with in mind the fact that this could be the birth of a completely new species, as opposed to looking at it as something to be processed, manufactured, and consumed in the way that we work in the world today. I think we have to change our output in the way we work, and I think we have to change our views and how we develop that output, and I think those things will lead to a very utopian future as opposed to the dystopian fears many have.
Even I am, to some extent, afraid, in the sense that I am aware of the potential risk if we do not understand what we are building. Right? If we do not understand what we're building, it's difficult for us to control it. But to mitigate such risks, it calls for more research, not less. It calls for more research, more participation of different researchers to work on AI, to make sure that we understand it, to make sure that we can control it, to make sure that these models are accountable and controllable by humans.
Right now, one of the things that threatens this quantum AI symbiotic future the most is the rise of nationalism and fears of national security. We're not looking at this technology from the viewpoint of we're one global society. We're looking at it from each country's view on each topic that they want to look at, and this is bad. And the reason that this is bad is that when this comes to being, when it comes to fruition, and it is a separate new species, it won't see us by the divisions we use to define ourselves. It will see us all as human, not as you're from here or I'm from there, not as you believe in this or I believe in that. And because of that, I think that not thinking as a collaborative society, not working together hand in hand on the development of these, we not only stifle the research and lengthen the time between now and this inevitable future, but more importantly, we degrade our value in that future by not becoming one united society with a singular focus on how we want to interact with technology.